How's everybody doing? Today we're working on this Redmax EBZ8500. This thing's seen some good amount of use. As you can see in here, all sorts of grease and two-stroke oil that's leaked out. I got a new gasket kit for it. We'll take the engine right out of this machine and reseal it up. Here we go. So you can see it runs, but not all that great. So let's get right to it. Got a T25. Every fastener on this blower is T25. Makes it nice and easy. And there's one down below here. Alright, take that off. So we'll just pull these fuel lines off, get the vent and the fuel. Got the kill switch wires, red and black. Pop those off. And I'm going to take this gas tank right off just so we can clean it up, and we can clean up the rest of the blower too, the frame and everything. So there's two screws on the bottom. And that's that. Look at this thing. Nasty. All right, so the next step is to loosen up the bolts that hold it to the body. We'll take this off too. A lot of times there's oil, like 2-cycle oil in here, so we'll drain that out. The first of many paper towels on this job. Got one that's not wanting to come out for me. I'm just gonna loosen them all up just so they're loose. And we'll turn the blower around. And on this side, you just take the middle one out, and that will allow you to get to the front here, where the fan is. And now we can put that down like that. Gonna switch out to a 14 millimeter, and we'll just take the center nut out here. It holds the engine to the fan. And what we're gonna do is just want to bring it so that the nut is to the end of the threads there, but not all the way off, just to protect the threads. And what I'll do is I'll just give it, and I'll hold the motor on the back side, give it a couple taps right on the nut there. There it is. Alright, I'll take the rest of these out and we'll be good to go. Alright, so what we're gonna, just before we take it off, we gotta take this throttle cable off, pop this cap, and the white retaining ring. Just push the throttle halfway on. That will release the cable out of there. Yep. Pop that off. There's that. Just gotta finish taking our nut off here. All right, there it is. It usually leaks in this area here. These four bolts holding this pedestal for the carb is usually where it leaks. We're going to replace this gasket, the base gasket. We're going to split the motor, replace this gasket on the bottom end, and our exhaust gasket. So I'm going to clean all this up, all this dirt, grease, and we're going to clean all that up and put it all back together. There we go. All right. So I kind of like to clean this up as I go here. I've done 3 of these so far over the last day or so. So I don't claim to be a professional Redmax mechanic or anything, but it's not super difficult, and I figured if I could show someone how to do it, they could save a little bit of money. So here we go. So 2 bolts out of here. just those 2 bolts, leave everything else there. There's the cup, the carb. Here's our pedestal. We got a gasket on here that will be in the kit, so we can just throw that away. And these are probably pretty loose. Yep. 4 bolts on this pedestal. Looks like someone tried to seal it up. There's some weird sealant on there. But that's okay, we're gonna take this gasket off. So there's all our bolts. Yeah, look at all this. We'll clean all that up. Take this plate off the top, just these 2. Pretty handy that everything on this engine is a T25, so you don't have to switch around to different sockets or anything like that. We'll clean that plate up. Take this gasket right off, comes in the kit, goes in the trash. There's our intake port. Pull start can stay on. These 2 wires just hang out. Take our exhaust off. I like to crack them a little bit with just a ratchet, just so we can have a better feel for how much pressure we're putting on there, because these are pretty tight. There we go. There's that one. Just don't want to break them off in the head. We might put a little heat on that one just to help that one along. Try one more time here. Yeah, put a little heat on that. Alright, oh, I broke my bit. Come on. Yeah, I think I broke the bit. No, maybe, hard to say. Let's get these other 2 out of here. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, I guess I didn't break that bit. That's good. So on this, you got 2 long ones and a short one. Short one goes down on the bottom. This gasket will take off, and there's also in the kit. So we'll put that over here. There's our exhaust port. See if we can shine a light in there. There's a little bit of build up in there. We'll scrape all that out of there before we put it back together. So next step is we'll take these 4 head bolts out and take the head off. I was doing one of these a little earlier and one of the bolts wasn't even tight, so that was a good reason why it was leaking everywhere. Alright, so we'll just slide this off. And just like that, we are ready to rock. Clean this all up. So it's 4 head bolts. Just want to keep everything organized here so we don't lose anything. So there's the bore there. We're going to take this gasket off. This one usually breaks in the center here on all of them, and then it's a little bit of work to get it cleaned up around where the bolts were holding the head on. But we will clean that all up and probably speed it up here a little bit because it's going to take a little while, and then we'll just put it back together. We also have to split the case and get this lower gasket in there. We'll do that momentarily. There's our piston, a little bit of carbon buildup on there. We will clean that off, clean all this dirt out of here. And this girl will run again. Maybe not like new, but a lot better than it was running. So let me spend some time. I'm going to take this spark plug out just so that way this sits better. We're going to replace this plug anyway. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work cleaning off this base gasket here. It's got a razor blade on this scraper here. It's a little bit aggressive because it can bite into the aluminum, but get the most off with it, and then I'll switch to a wire brush and finish cleaning it up with that. This is the only gasket that's kind of a little bit tricky to get off on this whole job. So I'll finish cleaning these 4 corners off, as you can see, and I'll bring you back afterwards and we'll go from there. All right, so we got this all cleaned up. The head, pretty clean. There was some carbon deposits in the exhaust port, so I cleaned those all, scraped all that out. I got the case all cleaned up. Looks pretty good. So the next step, we're gonna replace this case gasket. So we'll take these 4 screws out.
not as easy as the other one I was doing. What's going on here? There we go. Let's hold on this one side here.
All right, well, we got it split enough, I think, to get the gasket out. Doesn't seem to be coming off completely. So we will work with that like that. There's the gasket, and as you can see, it's pretty thin in a couple spots, so it's good that we took that off. Yeah, that's not coming off all the way. So either way, we'll do it just like that. So we don't, I don't know why it's not coming off. It seems like it's stuck on there, but either way, here's our gasket kit. And we got all the gaskets here, so we will put that one over there. Here's our case gasket here. Let's slip this in. It's got little posts on here to line everything up. Looks good. Not sure why that wasn't coming off. The other one, I did a couple other ones and they came right off. But not the case with this one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just snug these down with this and then we'll torque them. I got this torque wrench set to about 90 inch-pounds. And we'll torque these down. Earlier I thought I broke this bit, this T25, and I think I did. I found the little end of it, so let's hopefully it's still got enough on there. Yeah, looks like I do, yeah. So we'll just evenly tighten these till we get up to about 90 inch-pounds. All right, so that's that. So this, for some reason, it might be because, I'm not exactly sure why, but it does leave the gasket is a little proud of that surface. So now that we got it in there, just gonna clean this blade off. And I'm just gonna trim this so it's flush
With the top here. All the debris out of here. Alright, there's that side.
All right, so that's that. Next on the list here is this gasket here. This would be our head gasket. I'm gonna get that a little bit better here. Don't want this up too high because it could cause a leak. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we get this gaskets next. It says fan to the front. This is the fan that would be on there. So we'll just put that right. So I'm sure there's a ton of ways to lube this up for pre-assembly. I just don't want to wait for, you know, the oil and the 2-cycle fuel to lube this up on startup. So what I'm going to do is, I happen to have this hydraulic jack oil. I was repairing a bottle jack that was a little low on fluid, and it's a nice light oil. You never know, there might be someone who's like, hydraulic jack oil, but I just put a little on my finger and just kind of coat the cylinder. You know, I'm sure it'd be no problem to use straight 2-cycle or Marvel or I don't know, all sorts of different things. This is what I happen to have, and I used it on the other ones, and it seemed to be pretty light and kind of in some way like, you know, sticky enough where it wasn't dripping out of the cylinder, and just enough so that way when the rings go in there, everything's just lubed up. Anyway, so the next thing is we got on this piston here, there's 2 dowel pins. You can see one of them right there on the top ring. You see that there's a little notch right there, and you want the ring to be right there, the space in the ring. What that does is when the ring is inside the cylinder, it keeps the ring from spinning around and hitting the ports, and they're offset. So there's one in the back, kind of in the back here, and one up there. Tiny bit of stuff. So I don't want to use a ring compressor for these. I just hold them, just make sure they're not spun around, make sure they go in, and you can get this on. It's pretty easy. It's just one, so there's 2 rings, but it's just one. You know, a small little piston in the cylinder here. So it just takes a second to get her lined up. All right, there we go. So we're gonna make sure this fan is facing forward, and we're gonna spin this around because it's on there backwards. I know that because down here on this side, you have this screw hole for the exhaust, and that's the exhaust port. So it's pretty easy to remember. So we got fan facing forward, exhaust port on this side, and that's all there is to that. So we got our 4 head bolts. There's one on the back side, this one here, that might be smart to put in first, just because it is a little bit harder to get access to, but just with these needle nose you can get it. Yeah, see, it's a little bit tougher to get in there, but it's not too bad. So same thing with the case bolts. I'll just snug them down with this, and then we'll torque them. And same thing, we'll just do like a cross pattern just to keep even pressure. Same torque as before. About 90 inch-pounds. I was doing a little research online trying to figure out if that was the right value. It seemed like that was within the range. I think the top of the range is 95. But, I mean, I don't think you want to go nuts on these. It's just going into an aluminum block, but do want it pretty tight. I was also reading that they didn't want the gasket sealer on there, just leave it dry, so that's what I'm doing. Well, we'll see how it works out. So as you can see, like, this job is mostly cleaning. If you had a blower that wasn't dirty, you would be pretty quick to change this out. 30 minutes or so. But I got probably about 45 minutes into cleaning everything. So some of that's off camera. All right, so that's all torqued. Let's double check this. All right, that's that. So then next thing we'll do is we'll put this top cover on. And the only reason is because on this intake side, the gasket actually goes up underneath this top cover. So if you don't put it on first, you'll put the gasket on, and if you don't put the gasket underneath there, then you'll have to take this cover off, which is not really the end of the world, but nice to just do it once. And obviously you want to have this grommet facing, this tab facing this grommet for that. All right, so our pedestal, there it is, all cleaned up. Here's our intake gasket out of the kit. So it just goes on one way. You want to line up this hole there. And this lines up here. So as you can see, the kind of slides under that area there. Get my screws here set up so that way it doesn't fall on me. And just like with anything else, you don't want to put all the bolts in until you got them all in and threaded. And then we'll just switch those down. I don't love torquing things down with the impact hard. You never can tell how hard you're going, and these impacts have a lot of torque these days. So I like to just do it by hand. Just so I can kind of feel what I'm doing. You get this far, you don't want to be breaking off these in the block and having to take it all apart and mess around with it. This particular pedestal, this is the spot where it all leaks from for the most part. So, I mean, I'm not saying crank on it, but I mean, maybe we should be putting some Loctite in there, some 243 blue, but I try to put Loctite where I see Loctite in the factory. If these start loosening up one more time on me, if I start seeing dirt, that's one reason I'm cleaning everything, is so I can see dirt if dirt arises. And if I see dirt on here again, I'm gonna pull this off and Loctite these four, so that way we don't have that problem. So anyway, we got our carb and our gasket and our cup. So the cup, that goes on as one piece. So the carb goes on this rubber O-ring toward the plastic cup, and the throttle cable toward the fan. And then we take our gasket in the kit. There's a two-way gasket, so it doesn't matter which way it goes. And that just threads in just like that. Here's our problem. Get the choke levers on. You won't be, it will block the screw from moving. So I just want to make sure that was threaded and started properly. So we'll just give that, tighten it down. All right, there we go. So that's that side. And all that's left is to mount our muffler. Last gasket in the kit. This one here. So we'll get the top hole, the top screw started. Just so we can line things up. All right, so we got this protrusion there for the motor mount in the gasket, so we got to make sure we clear that. And the gasket does that nicely. We'll get this screw started. As you can see, this is pretty straightforward. Seal these up, and for a long time, we would end up just buying a new backpack and throwing these on a shelf just because it was busy and whatever. Go out and buy another backpack and another two backpacks just so we got everything was working. You know. Nice thing about that is we have several backpacks sitting on a shelf that I can just do this to and get running back like new. It's kind of like chainsaw chains, you know. For a long time before we had the chainsaw sharpener, or we wouldn't sharpen them with a file, we would just go out and buy a brand new chain and then throw the old chains or the worn out chains, not worn out, but you know, not sharp anymore. We'd throw them in a drawer. We built up 50 chains or so, and now we have a bunch of chains that we sharpen, and we it's pretty nice because then we just have chains in stock. All right. And there it is, back together. We'll get a spark plug in there. And always want to put a new spark plug in whenever you take one out. There's a crush washer on there, and once it's crushed, it doesn't become uncrushed. Spark plug for these is a CMR 7H. We just have them in the parts drawer over there. If we need them, we have them. All right, there's that. We got our kill wire that slides in there. And that's it. We are on to the installation on the backpack. All right, as you can see, I've finished cleaning up the backpack, main blower housing, and the bottom plate here. So we'll take our engine, we will slide it into the back of the fan, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these motor mount bolts in, just enough so we can secure the fan to the engine on the other side. I'll just put 2 of these in for now. Not very tight, just enough to hold it there so it doesn't fall. And then on this side, what we'll do is we'll spin the fan till it lines up with the woodruff key. Put our nut on. Just bring that down till it's snug. And then we need our driver. That. I don't know the torque value for that. That's okay. We're all set with that.
I gotta find another.
Gotta find another bolt. Missing one. Be right back. All right, I got the last bolt. Here we go. All right, that's that. Next thing we will do is we'll take our throttle. We'll fish it through here, through the adjusting nut. just easily right through the adjusting nut. I don't know why that's being so difficult. There we go. Hook up our cable right there. We're going to spin this around before we forget. And we're going to take this middle screw and put this back in. There's a washer that's half rubber in there. You want to make sure you include that. It's encapsulated in there. It won't fall out, but it might fall down to the bottom. So you want to make sure that you have it. Pretty nice having that one nut there. It's a good idea to take that out every once in a while and get a vacuum cleaner in there and clean all the dirt and debris that's in between the back plate here and the other side of the fan there. Anyway, back to the back here. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I just wanted to get that before this thing fell on me. So you got red to red, black to black. Now on some models, the clamp underneath here is like a cable clamp that's, you know, fully encapsulated. For some reason on this blower, they're not fully encapsulated. They're just, you can bend them to make them tight. So that's, you don't have to worry about going through before you hook up the wires. So there's those two wires. Back on the throttle, we forgot our little white tab here that keeps this throttle cable from popping out. I don't see them pop out, but I guess they were, so they put that on there. We got this black cap to put on to make sure that's clipped properly. I think it is. Yep. Put the cap on, and that's done. Next step is to put our intake tube on. Sometimes there's a little oil in there. I had it draining this whole time in the waste oil, but still had a little in there. This is the one part I guess I didn't really do much cleaning on. But that's that. So slide the top on until it hits those stops. There we go. Next will be our gas tank. It's all cleaned up. Got these two mounting holes on the bottom.
Cool. I have to do this by hand just because it's going into a threaded insert into plastic, so I don't want to go too crazy. I'm not very long, so. Alright, so that's that. Oh, is it loose like that?
Just plastic flexing. Hook up our hoses. Now, sometimes this return hose, this plastic, can get a little hard. So, and this one is hard. So I'm gonna take this out and replace that. Just pop the grommet right out. And this will be your fuel filter. Just gonna replace this whole thing with a brand new fuel filter and line. I don't think the fuel filter comes with this bottom clamp though, so I gotta take that off. We'll save the two clamps. and everything else will be new. This little fuel filter, part number 389227. And here's our brand new fuel line in grommet. A lot of times if you don't replace these, so not only is that yellow return line get hard, but the grommet kind of gets hard. And then what happens is it just leaks. You'd be walking around and get the backpack on. Top of the tank will be all wet. So we got that on. That like that. There we go. Be nice if I orient it the right way. There we go. You want the yellow line on the outside. This tool I'm using is a snap-on, like a plastic clip removal tool, but I use it for like everything. So our yellow plastic line hooks to the non-barbed side of the carburetor. It's got one barb on it, I guess. And the black line without a clip goes on the other part of the carburetor there, the other inlet. Just trying to get this clip on here. There we go. Black fuel line goes, like I said, on this side. It's good to change these lines out. I mean, ethanol and whatnot causes them to deteriorate over time. We use 93 super for all our fuel, but still I can't get ethanol free around in my area. So we'll give us a few pumps and a tiny bit of throttle and see what happens. Smoke that came out at the beginning was burning off that assembly oil and the jack oil, so not a big deal. Here's our cover, all cleaned up. It's got 5 screws that hold it on, and this just slides underneath our spark plug. Seems like they all start, every single one that I've rebuilt like this, rebuilt or resealed or whatever you want to call it, always started on the 3rd pull. No, that one started on the 4th because I wasn't able to get the choke off fast enough, but pretty much started on the 3rd. So I don't know. Good track record, I suppose. And the last one is right here above the pull start. All right. This one is back together. We don't have the tube on them. We take the tubes off when it's in the shop just so it's easier. The only thing else I could do to it is just kind of, clean up some of the dust from sitting on the shelf. We'll probably replace this air filter cover because it does have a small hole right there. Other than that, she's good to go, ready for another season. over at Redmax is watching this video, I'd like to do a suggestion. I'd like some chest strap, like a assembly on the backpack blower straps. I threw this together, but it really helps out in the winter and the fall when when we got two sweatshirts on and a jacket. You know, these straps seem to kind of fall off your shoulders, so you're either holding them like this or you got your shoulders like that the whole time. So it'd be nice if we had some sort of chest strap option. Even if you made it an option, I'd order it for sure. Thanks. And I noticed when I was editing the video that I forgot to replace this. So we have a parts blower, so we just grab one and all set. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.